What's up, and welcome to the To Conquer Peace podcast. I'm your host, D'Angelo. On this podcast, we explore ways for creatives to overcome creative block. This season is dedicated to the gift of information and how that could lead to releasing the stigma of something being too big or unobtainable. I'm going to say this every time, but today I have a special guest, and I really mean it this time, y'all. In the room, she is many things: a mother, a wife, a manager, an agent, an author, a food anthropologist, a content creator, and my sister-in-law. Ladies and gentlemen, Danita, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It was funny typing out all the things that you do. I'm like, that's crazy. When you sleep. All right, you don't sleep, actually, so that makes sense. How are you
I know I've
doing?
been a
Thanks for
busy
joining
bee.
me. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. I'm excited about the episodes. I think it's gonna be really interesting. So
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of self-therapeutic too. I enjoy offering this resource to everyone. So in addition
yeah.
to all the things that I just named about Danita, she has also amassed one like what is it, like 100,000 followers on TikTok when I checked a couple days ago over the years. First of all, D, with all the things that you have your hands in, what sparked the decision to do content on TikTok?
It was I joined because our kids were on there because your nephews were on there. They didn't have social media, and then they talked about it. They wanted to do it, blah blah blah. So okay, fine, no worries. If you're going to be on TikTok, then I'm going to be on TikTok just because it was a new app and I didn't know anything about it. But it seemed really age appropriate, really more age appropriate than like they don't want to be on Facebook, they don't want to be on Instagram at the time. So that's why I got on to, to stalk their pages and to make sure nonsense wasn't happening on the internet with them at their very young age at the time. Um, and then TikTok being the place that it is, it's a really interesting place, but it's also a great place to find your people. Like it can be really specific who your people are, and I guarantee you'll find them on TikTok. So
That's awesome. I actually didn't know that. I didn't know it began just from as one of the many titles that I've given you, or that you live in, a mother. Just kind of just trying to make sure that be aware of what they were consuming. I think that's really dope. But then in what you were consuming, you kind of found your own niche. It sounds like. And what was that niche? How would you describe it?
gosh, that's so interesting because a part of me feels like I kind of fell into it, and the other part of me feels like I've been doing it my whole life. So I found myself, this was like, I want to say, and I am not good with dates, so please don't get me started about when I joined TikTok because I don't know. But I feel like the pandemic was probably either gearing up or we were full blown with the pandemic. But I was um, talking to some people on TikTok, like in the comments and watching videos and things on, and just hearing people kind of just feeling like lost and sort of like really struggling with like normal things, air quotes. Um, so I felt like, well, this is something that I can kind of speak to because I'm the kind of person that likes like an evening pep talk. Like I'm going to give myself a pep talk and say, "Hey, girl, you done good." And so I kind of started doing that, and that was resonating with some people. Um, and I was really making the video that I needed to hear. Uh, and someone, a really large creator with like a million plus followers, did a TikTok follower people you should follow, and there were no creators of color in their recommendations. This is a white creator, and they make content around like gentle, some people call it like gentle parenting, gentle, like being gentle with yourself, that kind of thing. But they were doing like, it's who was her name? Oh, golly, why did her name just jump out of my head?
You're not
Casey
talking about Tyler?
Davis. That's what it
Okay.
was. And so people, she said, I recognize that has happened. And some people tagged me and said, "Have you heard about Danita Platt? She does gentle content as well." And these were like the little pep talks that I was doing and sort of that kind of thing about, taking care of your space, your home, your environment, that sort of thing, and not like raking yourself over the coals about that. Excuse me. Um, yeah, and I responded to her video, um, and that's kind of how that got kicked off. But I have a degree in home economics, so that's why I say I feel like it's something I've been doing this whole time. So
And that's interesting. I think that when I've talked to people who do content and they talk about surviving the process or the grind of it all, it does seem like the people that make it are the people that, well, there are people that are following trends, but then there are also the people that are doing things for themselves or that already connected to who they were. So, in some ways it was fun because they were already in that world.
yes, yeah, I agree. It's I think it's one of those things where I do think if you're having fun, then move right along. And for me, if I do a trend, it's honestly because I found it entertaining. I was entertained. It was fun, and I have videos like that, but the bulk of my videos they're not trends. And they really are videos that one I needed to hear, or I'm answering questions, um, that kind of thing.
So I know home economics is something you just spoke on, what being some of your past work experiences. What were some other things that you were already um, doing before this?
Before TikTok. So, um, like I said, my degrees in home economics. I minored in business. I taught home economics when I graduated from college, and I've kind of uh, gone back and forth between cosmetology and like that side of things, and home economics or mental health services for families, sort of like resourcing families and people. Um, so those have been sort of my jobs, and then um, I stopped working because we started. Well, our youngest son, Michael, your nephew, was had a medical crisis. He was diagnosed with epilepsy. Needed to pull him out of school till the seizures got under control, and so we started homeschooling. He and his brother, he and Gabriel. Gabriel was just kind of coasting through. So we pulled both of them out and homeschooled them, and just happened to homeschool them all the way through graduation. That was not the plan. It just every year we just kept homeschooling and looked up and it was 12th grade. So that has, well, and then of course they have kept me very busy since they both have businesses. Michael has the baking business that he's done since he was 11, and Gabriel started his multimedia business when he was 13. And they have kept me absolutely inundated, as you know.
I've I've seen that firsthand, the level of inundation. So okay, and I ask you this because I think when I have seen your TikToks, it always feels like part of your life. You know what I mean? It's not like you stopped and you went to TikTok and that's like everything, right? Because one, it's a process to gain a following. Two, you have to live life in some ways to not just follow trends. You have to live life to have content for inspiration. I thought you had so many different interesting niche categories that were a part of your life. One, some from just the lens of like, for lack of a better description, stay at home wife. I remember there was a phase where you were doing like home care, like techniques and stuff like that. And how did you figure out what resonated with people, or was that even your perspective when it came to your content?
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because I hear people say that. You need to find out what resonates with your audience and then make those videos. I don't think that that's not true, but that is not the driving force of why I make content. Not because I make content because I care about my audience. I care about whoever is gonna run across me on the internet. Excuse me. But it isn't. This is what I think resonates with you, and so I'm going to give you that. It is much more. I don't think I am so special and so unique that no one else is having an experience similar to mine. And as a result, I am making videos for the other Danitas out there who are like me, scattered. I say it all the time. My people, scattered people are my people. All over the place people, those are my people. And so I don't think that I'm the only scattered person running around saying, I think there's something inside of me that I really want to give the world. And I think I can do that even though I'm scattered. So I do talk about gentle care tasks. I talk about that through the lens of like being neurodivergent, having other kinds of external and internal obstacles to the everyday tasks that have to be done because the stuff of life gets in the way of that thing on the inside that you're like dying to give the world. I know that struggle of being like, I'm never going to give the world this thing in me because the laundry, the house, the dishes, my responsibilities to my family, to myself, even as a single person, those responsibilities just overwhelm and eat up my whole day. Then I look up and I haven't really given the thing. I've done all this other work, but I haven't done my work. And so that's really the crux of what I talk about on TikTok and what I try to encourage people about. Um, those are the personal battles and obstacles. And then the greater systemic battles and obstacles of systems and larger things that we are facing that get in the way of us giving the world what's in us as well. So I do talk about intersectionality a lot because that's one of the major things that gets in the way. One of what people understand about taking care of themselves. And I found this very interesting vein of educating people about the impact and the intersectionality of care tasks and still being able to show up, to give the world what's in you.
So so you said a lot of good things. Real quick, if you could define that before I ask this other question, define what the intersectionality of what's the phrase you just used?
Of care tasks.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Sure. And I'm sorry, my throat is not, I have a cough. Excuse me. Um, so when I say that, I'm talking about, um, I will give sort of my trajectory in making content about gentle care tasks because that's where it started. Um, if I'm making content about gentle care tasks and we're having this conversation about cooking or a conversation about something else that you have to do, care tasks are things that don't stop in order to take care of your life. So if we take cooking, for example, as a care task, something you have to do, and we're talking about that in a larger framework, right? A lot of times there'll be people who say things like, "Oh," or let's talk about cleaning. That's an easier one. There'll be people who say things like, um, you know, if you're not a good wife if your house is not clean. And a lot of times it comes towards women. Um, it comes towards um, because of how society is set up. Well, the other layer of that is that there are ideas and foolishness in that thought process because the country was founded at its genesis on care tasks being the responsibility of enslaved Africans and enslaved African Americans. So, if we're going to talk about having a different perspective on care tasks, where we want people to be able to thrive in their homes, not have to live up to these societal standards that say things have to be like this. My home of origin taught me to do things like this, but that doesn't work for me. And I'm still struggling and I still don't feel like I'm getting the job done. If we're going to push back against those ideas, then we have to also address the white supremacy that is in those ideas, that's
Mhm.
attached to it, simply because throughout the world, when one group enslaves or oppresses another group, they assign that group their care tasks. That is just the nature of care tasks. They are assigned to the oppressed group, and the group in power no longer has to facilitate those tasks.
Mhm.
So, in order to dismantle that, you have to address the inherent bias that's in those tasks, our ideas about them, and how we idealize those tasks.
Yeah, and I think you do. I mean, we're talking about some complicated concepts that it's TikTok, and you have a limited amount of time to maybe talk about these ideas in bite sizes. But I think that you do a really good job of looking at situations or issues or things that are inherited, that we inherit ideas, and unpacking that and peeling the lens back, and challenging those things, or even just venting your frustrations in a way that I think it appears that really resonates with a lot of people, which is dope. But and
Thank
you
you.
also spoke about something that I think really captures the heart of why we're talking about what we're talking about. You talked about having an aspect of you in you that you want to give out to the world, but there's a little bit of, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe there's things like fear or insecurities or imposter syndrome, like a lot of things that a lot of people are get pigeonholed by that prevents them from moving. Was there
Yeah.
a component of that in your journey with your content creation? And then if so, how did you overcome and work through that?
So I'm an introvert down in my soul. I really am. And absolutely there is the sense of um, speaking into the void and um putting something out there that you're not necessarily completely sure of, or you don't know all the steps, or you don't even know half the steps. And so there's these things that are in the way of doing that. Um, and I'll tell you that I am compelled. I just can't, I don't know how else to put it. I am compelled to make the video. I really am. It is not because I wake up in the morning going, gosh, you know what I want to do with my day today? I want to be on TikTok. That's what I want to do. And it's not because I have a problem with TikTok or any social media outlet. It's just that being on TikTok, and especially talking about the things that I talk about, it can create a discourse and a conversation that has to be managed. And I have to, because I have a very engaged community on TikTok, which I'm really grateful for, um, because it creates, I think, a sense of real genuine connection as much as you can, obviously through social media. But it also means I have to manage the comment section. I have rules about my comment section. There's not gonna be any foolishness in there. As much as I can be involved in it. So I say all that to say the back end of posting a video can be a lot of engagement for me as an introvert. And I don't wake up going, gosh, I want to be on TikTok. What am I gonna say? What ends up happening is something happens, I read something, I hear something, I'm following something that's going on, and as I sit and think about it and chew on it, uh, I am compelled to make the video because there's a piece that I genuinely believe could be helpful to people who are struggling with something. And for me, I'm so um, aware of how I have struggled that when I think about can I do something to maybe help someone who is struggling, that's what drives me to cut the camera on. Quite honestly, that is what drives me. The person who's like, I remember when I felt like that. I honestly do, and I don't know what to do. And I might have a solution for that person. I'm gonna cut the camera on. I'm gonna run my mouth.
No, I love that. I think that that's powerful in a couple senses, right? Like one, again, it goes back to the motivation behind the content that you make. The content that you make is part of who you are, it's part of your journey. And also, one thing that we might not be able to go into detail on, but you are someone that has been, and our entire family has been more explicit about like really sitting and outlining what and why, what you want to do into within the world, and how you want to do it, with what's your voice, what's your lens, like almost like how a nonprofit or a business would sit down and make a vision statement and a mission for their life. So I'd imagine that that was just a natural step because you already defined that for yourself.
I think I think it's sort of hand in hand because I will say that in creating content and paying attention to the things that really light me up, the things that do compel me to cut the camera on, that do compel me to sit and do all the research in order to be able to give people a lot of information and walk them through a process, in the amount of time that you have to make a video. I have gathered language about myself. So I did go into it knowing there's something in me that I want to give the world. I'm sure of that. And I went into it with that, I would just, I remember going through seasons of my life where every so often I would just call one of my friends and be like, what am I going to do with my life? I know I'm working, I know I'm blah, 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 but what am I going to do with my life? Like I'm a fully grown adult and I'm like, what am I going to do when I grow up? Having that question. So I did go into it with that curiosity and that desire, but it was part of developing and honing and kind of like whittling down that very large thought process into something a lot more streamlined is that making videos helped me gather language for why this is not letting me sleep.
Yeah.
Like, this is keeping me up at night. Why is that? And investigating that helped me gather language so I can better articulate it for other people.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's important too. And my assumption is people that are listening to this are interested in engaging in TikTok and getting a following and blah blah blah. And we're talking about the mindset involved there, but it also sounds like, especially in your beginning stages, there was a level of play involved and curiosity that helped you. And this is probably why you said you fell into what you fell into.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
and then so it was a process.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely a process. And because the thing behind it was I knew that there's something that I want to give. I don't know necessarily how I'm going to do that, but I know there are other people who are having an experience like mine, and I might be able to help those people.
Hmm, that's good. Okay, so you spoke a little bit about this. You spoke a little bit about some of the challenges and frustrations of content create TikTok, specifically content creation. Uh, in being an introvert, one also just the nature of the content you do, you get a variety of opinions that might be triggering, or who knows. And you have developed rules for your comments. Are there other like frustrations along in the process that you feel like people should know about when it comes to creating content on TikTok?
Um, I am. I know that there are creators who get really upset about like being shadow banned. I don't, and this is not because I know something. It is legitimately because I don't know. I don't know if shadow banning is a real thing or not a real thing. But I do know that there are creators who are like, I have this many people and this many people following me. My video was only seen by 20 folks today. What in the world? Um, and I know that that can be a point of frustration, especially when people feel like, it took me time to do this, it took effort, it took energy, all of the resources necessary to be able to give people something, that is a quality that you feel good about. Um, I know that that can be a frustration. It's not a frustration that I face very often because somehow, some way, I have developed a TikTok community of folks who will look for my content. So whereas in the beginning, when I first started posting videos on TikTok and I was doing that like nighttime pep talk, I was like, you know what? I'm going to post 3 videos a day on TikTok and just see what happens. It was quite honestly that I'm going to post 3 videos and see what happens. I don't know. Um, and I was doing like a nighttime pep talk and then maybe like, I don't know, just saying hello to folks. Like it was all over the place. But I was honestly just doing it because I was curious to see what would happen with the algorithm because the TikTok algorithm is so responsive. So if you tap not interested enough, like you tap it 3 or 4 times, that content is going to come out of your For You page. So the algorithm was so responsive that I was like, I just want to see what happens. I was just entertained by it and curious by it. But now I have a TikTok following who, like I said, will look for my content. And also, I make much longer videos than most people do. And so I have people who watch my videos will sit and watch them. They'll pull out a piece of paper and like take notes. And I only know that because I get feedback or people will stitch me or they'll tag me in a video and say, I come back, I save this video and I come back and I watch it every month to like to get me straight. You know, I've had people who have made videos and said like really, really like things that just drive me to tears, quite honestly, about the things that they have said in terms of the impact. So I say all of that to say I don't stress very much about who is seeing my video or how far it's getting, because I know the kind of content I make is for specific people, and I am confident that those people are going to find me and that they're going to get that content. I would say probably my greatest frustration is my own knowledge of how to navigate the conversation around race, around white supremacy, around anti-blackness, to be able to navigate that conversation in on the internet, you know, and how much of a challenge that can be. Um, but I had conversations with folks in real life to say, what do I do? How do I handle this? Because I am not a DEI. I'm not that person. I'm not like, that's not, I can't do that. And so it was really setting that boundary of saying the comment section is not the place to work out you being triggered by something that was said. So you need to, I say it all the time, take it to the journal, work it through with people in your real world, in your real life, write out your big feelings. But my comment section is not the place for that. And that seems to help people who have genuine questions to be able to ask them and answer them, and for people not to start arguing and going back and forth in my comment section. So that was the greatest challenge and my greatest anxiety about being on TikTok with the content I found myself making.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't think I even ever thought about the idea of having rules and managing the discord of your comments, because as important as the content you make, if you're, if you've gotten people to engage, your comment section is kind of that second content, because that's where people start to engage with you. And so that's really awesome.
Yeah,
That's really dope.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a layer that I didn't see coming, and you're right, it is that second place, and the comment sections can get very, very, very hurtful. And I just don't want anyone to feel that way. You know, I sign off my video saying take care of each other because I legitimately mean that. And I don't ever want my comment section to be a place of nonsense for people. You don't have to agree. I'm not saying everybody has to be kumbaya, but you don't get to get there and really cut up. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so one more question about this, and then we'll get kind of processy with our questions. But how did you? So there was a phase where you were probably, specifically with this example of frustration, you were posting videos and your comments are uh, not in the direction that you wanted to, and that's frustrating, right? But you still had to make your content. How did you persevere through the process of that frustration?
I would say I did not let the tyranny of the urgent drive me to make a video if I was not able to do that, if I was not ready or able to do that. And that is one of the things that TikTok specifically, you have to really be paying attention to making you have to be paying attention to what the algorithm is telling you. Yeah, what the algorithm is telling you. And I say that because if you're having a frustration that's getting in the way of what you're trying to accomplish, then the first question that I ask myself is, why am I trying to accomplish this? Like, I'm very frustrated by this. Why am I trying to do this? And I found myself realizing that the algorithm will send me videos that the algorithm knows is going to trigger me, and then expect for me to stitch that video, reply to it, right? And so now I'm an emotional, I'm all, worked up in the lather and everything. The algorithm has gone on about its business and it's gotten the video that it wanted, right? But is that the video I wanted to make? No, it really isn't. And I kind of looked up and realized, man, this is a hole I can fall down in, of reacting to other people's rage farming kind of content. So realizing that I want to be a creator, not a reactor, reduced a lot of frustration for me. And I'm also the kind of person who will make a video and leave it in my drafts and then look at it 2 days later and say, do I still want to be saying that? Um, so in all of that, um, I think slowing down when I'm frustrated and not reacting out of that frustration to either say I'm taking the app off my phone, like a reaction of like running away from it or a reaction of running towards it, but slowing down and saying, am I doing what I want to do and what I set out to do? Because I might not be. If I set out to make a video to encourage people to set up their care tasks in a way that works for the people in their home who are autistic and have ADHD. If that is the video that I set out to make, am I actually making that video or am I making a different video? Oh, I'm making a different video. Okay. Let me stop. You make the video I set out to make. And that is what has helped me navigate the frustration.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I think that in some sense that speaks to the people who might be have found a little bit of their niche and connected with who they want to be on the platform. So I think that's really dope. I'm actually curious. As you were talking, I was thinking about this. So there was a season where it sounds like in the beginning you were doing 3 videos a day or a night or something like that, just kind of experimenting. Was there a phase where certain videos just weren't connecting with people, or was not really nothing was happening, or was it kind of like as soon as you got into it, it was popping?
No, there was definitely a phase where videos weren't connecting with anybody. um, and quite honestly, I wasn't making them to connect with anybody. I was making them because I was entertained. I was, you know what I mean? It was just fun and I wanted to see what would happen with the algorithm. Um, and I hear people talk about sometimes like um I was actually just having this conversation with a friend who was going to be starting their TikTok account. They're excited about it, but they're trying to figure out, but what do I do? What do I do? How do I like I have this thing I want to say and I think it's so dope and I really really want to say it, but what do I do, Danita? How do I right? And I was just like, quite honestly, you can't give people anything other than who you are. Like anything else is not yours to give them because it's not true, right? So we go to orange trees to get oranges. And if someone goes to an orange tree looking for strawberries, who has the issue here? Who has the problem?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not the tree. You're in the wrong place, sweet. You need to go over there where the strawberries are. I have oranges to give because I am an orange tree, not because I'm a fruit tree and decided I'm giving oranges today. That would explain why you showed up looking for strawberries because yesterday I was giving you strawberries. But that's not really even possible. If I'm an orange tree, I'm going to give oranges. I have to know I'm an orange tree and just give what I have, knowing that those will be oranges. But if I think I'm a fruit tree and I'm giving out strawberries and I'm giving out apples and I'm giving out oranges, then yeah, I'm going to be confused and the audience is going to be confused. But if I give people just who I am, they're going to get oranges because I'm an orange tree. You know what I mean?
Yes, no, I get you.
So, yeah, niching and all that, I think it happens automatically when you give people who you are. And that doesn't have to be beautiful or put together. I'm on TikTok in my bonnet. I'm on TikTok sometimes, full face of makeup or on like I'm on here with you right now with my glasses and you know what I mean? Like it just has to be who you are, just in its true sense. And I think that resonates with people. And you find your niche. You are your niche. You find it because you're just being who you are.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think that that's an important nugget that hopefully everyone can take away from it. In a most ideal circumstance, we've already kind of talked about this in your beginning phases where you are kind of playing and operating in curiosity. In some ways, it's the process of connecting with you, and and
Yeah.
and 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 that is how you maybe persevere through the oh, nobody watched this or whatever. Hopefully that's not even the game you're playing. Although at the end of the day, if you're investing in something, you want results. But maybe part of persevering through that is that you're already doing it for yourself. You're doing it because you care about it. You probably would do it for free, like because that's just something you're interested in. And then usually when you have that type of passion and interest in something, everything else tends to fall into place right after. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think your people will find you, and you'll get, you'll get the views. I was looking at my numbers yesterday on some videos that I just did, and one of them, I want to say, maybe has like 10,000 views on this one video, and the other video has like, I don't know, maybe 2,000 views. And but the video with the 2,000 views, the video with the 10,000 views is a repost of something I did 2 years ago. And the video of 2,000 views is a video that I did fresh content. But the video with the 2,000 views has engagement and comments from people who are like taking the thought a little bit further. And I love that. Like, give me 2,000 views with folks who are like chewing on it and progressing the idea. I'm here for that. I'm fine. The 10,000 views, yay, phenomenal, right? That's great. But I see value, a different kind of value in the lower views with the engagement that encourages like new thought. You know what I mean?
right.
So yeah,
No, that's
let me do
awesome.
this
I
something
love
in
that.
there.
I love that. I love the idea of this not always how people will talk about approaching TikTok. So, I mean, that's reflective of who you are and the depth you want to provide to people. And I think that people resonate with that, and you tend to draw in those type of people as well. So, like you said, you'll find your people.
Sure. Yeah.
So you said something interesting. This is like a little bit more processy, but you spoke about in the beginning deciding to do 3 a day or 3 a night or something like that. Let's
Hmm.
talk about a little bit of the algorithm of TikTok, which is all ever evolving, right? But how would you recommend someone starting out in their play curiosity season, and they're just starting out with creating a TikTok?
I would say to be on the platform as a consumer first. Be on there as a consumer, and curate your For You page. Use the not interested button. Like, use it. Like, if you're getting videos that you're watching, you're like, that was wild. Did I enjoy that? No, but that was crazy. I watched the whole thing. I watched it twice. I didn't enjoy it but I watched it because that was wild, right? The algorithm doesn't know why you watched it. It just knows you watched it twice, right? So I saw a TikTok video today of a guy who was like like watching football and like got mad and like crashed the TV and like pulled it off the wall and broke it. I watched that video 3 times. I didn't enjoy it. I was just so flabbergasted at what I was looking at, right? But the algorithm doesn't know that. So I needed to go back and push not interested to curate my For You page, because that's going to bring me closer to people who are like me, and people who are like me are going to have similar struggles to me. We're going to have a shared experience. My job as a content creator, in many respects, I actually woke up thinking about this today. My job as a content creator is to um like help people see our shared experience. It's to look at all of the dross and pull out the shared experience and say, we're having a shared experience. Because a sense of belonging is what people are looking for, is what I want. I want to belong to a community, and I think most people do. So the process first is finding your people. And you find your people by pushing that not interested button and curating the real videos that bring you joy, the videos that light you up, the videos that make your eyes go up and over, right?
Mhm.
Up and over to the side because you're wondering about them. That's who you want on your For You page. And then you're going to naturally you're going to like it. And you might comment, you might not. But these are the people that the algorithm sees resonate for you, not just you react to, because resonating and reacting are two different things, the resonating part. And then you start making your content, because the algorithm is going to push your content to those people, the people
Mm,
you have a sense of shared experience with. And your
yeah.
job then is to just talk about you all shared experience and how you are solving a unique problem that you see as you're facing your day-to-day life, and that's going to resonate with those folks.
So it sounds like, yeah, there's a practicalness in that because you're also already in the process of starting to find you're just going to keep using the word niche or your voice, just by how you're engaging with things and giving TikTok feedback will naturally get you access to the people that are care to think about the things that you care about, and that will
Yes.
naturally gravitate towards you creating content because you know that's
Yes.
just how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, cool. I love
Any community you're in, you'll find it on TikTok. I sound like a TikTok commercial, but any community,
it's just
you
real.
know.
And then, okay, so the three was kind of you just pulled that out the hat. Like there was no real reason
I
behind that.
I think I was scrolling TikTok and one of those like, oh, you know, I make content. I'm a social media manager. I make content about making content. You know, make 3 TikTok videos a day, blah blah blah, right?
Okay,
That's probably where I got that idea from, quite
hmm
honestly. And I was like, oh, 3 TikTok videos a day? I can do that. Let me try it. I just want to see what happens with the algorithm.
right.
I just want to see what they say. So and that I mean maybe I did it for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I did a 6 month, 3 videos a day, 6 a.m., 9, it was nothing like that. It was me goofing off 3 times a day.
Okay. And then is there a moment? So that makes a lot of sense to me, and I would imagine now you're at the point where you probably engage in you move from a place of inspiration organically. But would there be a time or period where you're like, oh, it's been too long, I need to get on here and post something, or has that not even occurred?
No, absolutely. That is the case. So I am, I don't even know what to say. I don't know. I want to use the word grateful. Um, but I am absolutely, I don't have to post every day. I'm very, very glad of that. Um, but I try to stay in a place of a balance between, um, trying to figure out how to say it. I try to stay in a place of, if I believe that I have something that other people need, then I need to just stay in front of these people. And so I do have to get on there and see what folk are up to, check in, go to like, and I really pay attention to my comments because I don't like that feeling of like, I saw a video that really resonated with me. I took the time as an introvert to write a comment and the creator like didn't even heart it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the creator owes me anything. I'm saying if you have a video that only has a little bit of comments on it, I feel like and you really were pouring your heart out as the creator, I feel like aren't you wondering if that resonated with people? And I'm commenting to say that did resonate with me.
Mhm.
I see you, right? Then like a heart. So I try to be in my comment section. But that doesn't mean that I'm in it as soon as I post. So I'll post, I try to keep up with it a little bit, but I have a life. I might not get back to your comment for 2 weeks, but I'm going to go back into older videos and be like, oh, I missed this one. I'm going to heart it. I'm going to reply. I had to think about this. And I'm famous also for being like, well, not famous, but I will say, I read your comment and I'm chewing on this. Give me some time to come back, you know, that kind of thing. So I say all that to say I do engage because I do think I have a community there. So I don't go days and days and days without doing anything. But I don't feel and have not found that I have to post every day at this time or else. I
Yeah.
have not found that.
That's cool, and I think that it's also that can open up the idea of different what engagement really looks like. It's not always just posting a video. It could be just circling back and finding comments to respond to. And I don't know if everybody thinks about it in that way. So that's a really good practical step as well. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, so a few more questions for you, then I'll let you get out of here. We are both introverts, and a 45-minute conversation certainly tests our boundaries.
Oh no, we're
No, I'm
doing fine.
actually
Like
really
the one
enjoying
on
it.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it's
no, no.
very
Like the one on ones, we're good, right? Yeah.
no, I'm actually really enjoying this too. It's fun to learn from you. All right. So, has there been any financial rewards or money made from TikTok at this point?
That's so interesting. So yes, there has. It is nothing. I'm not doing it the way other people are doing it because other people out here, I don't know. I don't know. It's not happening like that on my end. But And so I've got, some speaking engagements that were paid for, and I got flued out and all that. That was such an old, but anyway. Um, and I do participate in the TikTok beta creator program. Um, it buys me lunch on occasion. Um, and I would say more than anything, um, TikTok has sort of, also because I keep all my intersectionality stuff in a playlist. So it makes it, I think, easy for people to kind of say, oh, I saw this video that was wild. I want to know more. They can go to the playlist, and being able to streamline my subject matter through the playlist lets people know what to call on me for. So I just actually did an interview, and a journalist is writing an article. She just sent me the fact checking, like, part of it and all that. So that sort of thing has definitely been the case. Um, I would not say TikTok video equals cash for me, but TikTok equals other conversations, other places. It's a place for me to say, oh, yeah, I made a TikTok about that. I'll send it to you. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
2 or 3 degrees separated from cash,
Right.
but
Right.
not, it's like that.
No, that
Yeah.
makes sense, and I think
So,
that's good. It's I
yeah.
mean, I think that's realistic because everyone's different. You're building an audience in a way that I think is almost truly like a community, as much as the internet could ever be. Um, and so I can definitely see how, one, that's a resource too, the I'm not alone resource in this, and then two, yeah, like people are seeing that, people are reaching out because they want you to speak, and I think that's really cool, and it's a reminder of all the different ways TikTok opens doors for people. So,
Yeah. I've done a couple brand things, but I'm also like, I'm also careful about the, like, I try to be careful about the amount of ads and that kind of thing, because, but also at the same time, like, I have my Venmo and my Cash App, and so, if you hear something that resonates with you, I appreciate you buying me a cup of coffee. I appreciate you, and certainly in that regard, I would say TikTok to Cash has been that,
okay,
specifically like that. But um, that has, I'm also, I just because I think there's a fine line between ads and just constantly trying to sell you stuff, and
right,
also I have a legitimate product. I think it's a great product, and I think you'd enjoy it. And here's
right,
how much it costs. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
there sounds like
you
there's a
know,
push and pull that and it makes sense too because your brand, for lack of a better way of describing it, is authenticity and authenticness. So, in some sense, the commercialism of some of this that would be involved, it's like you're like, how do I fit that into what I'm doing and who I want to
yeah,
be? That I think
yeah,
that is something that has to be tackled and considered, and because at the end of the day, if we're
yeah,
investing in something, getting money for it does feel also nice as well. So I
yeah,
get it,
yeah,
I get that. So that makes a lot of
yeah,
sense. Thanks for sharing that because that's personal, but I know that if people are wanting to do content creation, that's something that they're always going to be curious about. All
yeah,
right, so
yeah.
we are. Oh, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Um, just an interesting point that,
Mhm.
so I'm starting a Substack to try to address this part of it. Like, for myself as a creator, what is, like I said, I have a product, blah blah blah, that whole exchange. But interestingly enough, I saw a creator the other day who has taken something that is culturally important to another culture and taken that thing and put it behind a paywall on Substack. And so that's the other side of it, where I'm like, that's crazy, because you're trying to get paid as a creator for something that isn't yours to charge for, but you've put it behind a paywall. So that's sort of, like you said, like,
That's interesting.
trying to be genuine, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
what I would call honest about the commercialization or capitalization of your intellectual property online.
yeah. Okay, is there anything else that you, as we round third and head home on this episode of our podcast, is there anything else that you would like to share, offer to people, or something you wish you knew when you first started? I feel like we kind of already talked about that, but
Um, I think that I would say, um, make the content like, and like turn down the thought of the part of your brain that says it has to be, you know, phenomenal and absolutely everything it's going to be before I can put it out there. And also be okay with being in a process, because I really think people resonate with you being in a process, with you being like, here's where I am. I think this is where I want to go. Here's why. And I'm trying. And here's what trying looked like today. It looked like me doing this, and this, and I struggled, and I'm going to bed now because I got an attitude. Or it was great and it worked out, or something in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, I think people really, really resonate with that, and with um the sort of grittiness of that. Um Especially when they know your desire is to create something that you can be proud of and that can be useful to others. And I think if you're wondering, what do I do? Cut the camera on, cut the camera on, and start running your mouth. Like,
yeah.
you know, um, maybe give yourself a time limit so you don't carry on. But otherwise, just give people what's in you, and I think let them be there for the process of it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And if there's anything, I mean, that's like a mic drop moment in my opinion. But if you guys are taking anything from this, it sounds like to me the beauty and the opportunity in this process is to kind of go on an exploration of finding your voice, and also probably finding out that you're not the only one who has these things that you're thinking and sharing, and you get to engage with people in that. And I think that is actually sounds like a very rewarding process. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Dee.
Sure.
Yes.
Thanks for
So,
having me.
of course, no problem. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Dania, thank you so much for taking some time out of your crazy busy schedule to sit and chat and offer resources to people. I'm excited to release this to everyone. One, and two, we have a lot more really dope people who have expertise in podcasting, starting your own nonprofit. So if you guys have enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, follow, blah, 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 blah. If you have any questions for Danita, hit me up on social media. I would love to spread it along, or follow her on TikTok. Where can they find you on TikTok? What's your name?
Um, you can find me in D'Angelo Platt's comment section, um, laughing at his con. No, uh, you can find me at Danita Platt on TikTok.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, yes, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us. Peace.